Hi everybody, just a short video to stimulate some discussion on possible joint proposals within the department. So you have probably all heard about the water, energy, food nexus. It really refers to the interconnection between these three areas. So the nexus is indicated here by this blue area. And many agree that the interconnectivity between these three areas is really the way to approach future sustainability. And it would be nice if our department can align ourselves with this perspective. Ideally, we want numerous interconnected projects that pitch right within the nexus. So I just want to share some ideas with you. As chemical engineer, I'd like to understand the biosphere in terms of chemical cycles, especially the nitrogen and carbon cycle. Nature has a beautiful way to cycle carbon and nitrogen from the atmosphere to the biosphere in a balanced manner. Unfortunately, nature was not in complete steady state a few million years ago, and carbon accumulated as fossil fuels. Effectively, this implied that sunlight was buried underground so that we can use it at whatever rate we want to. I don't want to talk too much about climate effects of burning fossil fuels at too fast a rate. I do, however, want to mention the effect of nitrogen pollution. Some say it is as big a problem as climate change. It was really the chemical engineer Fritz Haber who developed this bypass route by fixating atmospheric nitrogen using fossil fuels to form nitrogen fertilizers. Now this has really spurted population growth in terms of massively more food produced. But the problem is that more than half of the fertilizers produced did not end up as food, but other forms of biomass. And this has severely harmed ecological balances and biodiversity on Earth. So if environmentalists argue that we should move away from fossil fuels, they really imply that we should also move away from synthetic fertilizer. The circular economy is another term that is gaining momentum, and it links up directly with the food, energy, water nexus. I don't think I have to explain the term apart from saying that the product from one process becomes the feed to another. So if we talk about proposals, joint proposals within the department, ideally we want some sort of in-house circular processing going on. This implies that the feed or the product from one project becomes the feed to another project, all running within the university. We want to make students aware of the interconnectedness. The idea won't be just to target yield or productivity in an old school manner or linear manner, but rather to consider other processes when developing your objective function for your specific process. And that's the way I would like to see it happen. So here we have the nexus. Water, energy, food. On the water side, it's not just about having clean water, but also about having enough water. On the energy side, we're more familiar with. That's where we produce fuels, electricity, chemicals. And I guess you can say as chemical engineers, especially in our department, we are accustomed to studying the interface between the energy industry and the water industry, mostly the water industry cleaning after the energy industry. But then, of course, we also have to include the food industry. Now, the food industry is mostly agriculture, and it's not just linked to the production of food, but also to the production of biomass for the bioeconomy. That's the thing that's going to replace fossil fuels. So to have a proper hold on the food, energy, water nexus, we also want to cover and study these interfaces where water interacts with agriculture. And of course, lastly, also where food production interacts with the energy sector, or the energy circle in this case. That's, of course, highly linked to the biomass economy. So by covering these three separate interfaces, we are moving closer and closer to the nexus point where all three of them interact. And ideally, we want to be situated over there when we write our proposals. So if we have a look at our own departmental nexus, it's evident that we are already covering all three of the sectors. Very nice to know. If we take publication output as the indicator, we'll have to say that the water side is by far the most developed. So we've got a very healthy and effective water section. But also on the energy side, there's numerous action, apart from various material application studies that works within the energy sector. We have a lot of fermentation work that has happened and is still going on, and also pyrolysis work, so biorefinery related work. If we have a look at links, there's already some links between material applications and water utilization. That's already happening. So we are crossing the boundaries already. And if we think about the fermentation and the pyrolysis, the biorefinery work, well, the feed is from biomass. Whether it's a sugar derived from biomass or whether it's wood that we're using in our pyrolysis units, we are in a sense already covering the edges of these nexuses. On the food side, this is a really young initiative. If diazoponics is the projects where our soilless agriculture project, we are growing some plants and we are getting into producing food, but it's still a young initiative. But what we foresee is that we need more interaction on this boundary so that effectively we can move closer to the triple point. So how do we get into the heart of the nexus, or the triple point? I've been thinking really hard about this, and the only answer that I could come up with was that we need a shared feedstock, some sort of thing that we share, whether we work on the energy side, the water side, or the food side. So after working with soil plants in a aqueous environment for a year and a half, I started reading up on aquatic plants. And it's really then, just a few months ago, that I discovered the amazing plant Azolla. Now, Azolla typically is associated with duckweed, which is also an aquatic plant, so I'd like to use the word interchangeably. When I talk about Azolla, I include duckweed. So Azolla is, I'll give you some detail on the plant itself. It's an aquatic plant. It's a water fern, really, a small plant. It's 50 million years old. It lives with a nitrogen fixator that's really thoroughly embedded within the plant. So it's really a super organism. And this plant, if we have a look, if we talk about the triple point, is really perfectly situated as a possible feedstock to hit that triple point, because Azolla has been used as biofertilizer for centuries in the East. So we currently are working on using Azolla in our soilless system to bypass synthetic nitrogen. But of course, Azolla and duckweed are very active in water purification. In the water purification area, it has an amazing ability to remove nutrients, even heavy metals or organics from water. You get local municipalities that use duckweed to actually treat their wastewater. And then lastly, but probably as importantly, is Azolla has major potential as a biorefinery feedstock. So in terms of trying to hit the triple point, I found an answer 3 months ago, and I am excited about it. On the food side, we're definitely going to use it, but this video is really to try and convince you to extend the use of Azolla to the water and energy sides. Okay, so I don't want to make this presentation too long, but just a little bit on Azolla. The thing I really like about Azolla is that when you grow it, the system where we grow it on, we approach it as a bioreactor. A bioreactor is really all just about controlling water concentrations to drive responses from organisms. So whether it's a microorganism or a little aquatic plant, we see it as the same thing. So we're still working with our bioreactors. And in engineering, it's always about speed. Now just have a look at this. Duckweed is the fastest growing plant on Earth. And azolla is the fastest nitrogen fixator on an area basis on Earth. So we're talking if we need smaller units to get the biomass grown, this is the way to go, to accumulate the biomass and to fixate the nitrogen. Also, very nice, it is not just us who've realized the potential of azolla. There's numerous research studies, so it's a well-developed international research community which really gives the students a lot of papers to access and opportunity for more collaboration with the outside world. As I mentioned before, it's been used as a biofertilizer in the East for centuries. Okay, and if you have a look at water treatment options of azolla, it's finding a lot of applications, circular applications, where you not just clean the water, but where you use the biomass for another purpose. Talking about using the biomass from a biorefining perspective, it has a low lignin content, it can be cultivated to improve the starch content. So there's various options to use the oils, the starch, whatever, in bioprocessing or biorefining applications. Okay, so a lot of big picture discussion. Last slide is just to say, how do we start? If we agree on the idea, where do we get going? And for me, if you want to start something at the university, you got to start from below, and below is the students. You got to get students excited. You got to get students invigorated with ideas, and that's the way to go. Not to structure it from above. So we're already going in CLB. We are having them grown duckweed at home. They're accessing millions of research papers and trying to, with limited equipment, to get the duckweed to grow fast under different conditions. I envisage CSC projects next year. I'm already refined a few of them, where they'll hopefully be able to come to the university and perform some more advanced experiments than the current CLB experiments. But maybe also an MSc project or two. That's really where you start. You get a student on a project and you see how it grows. Now, as we do this, we should talk more and more about finding ideal opportunities for a funding proposal. And really, my idea is to have a joint funding proposal where we show that we work together while we share a common theme or feedstock. For now, this video is just to get some discussion going. Maybe the triple point, maybe we can get something better to hit that triple point. I believe it's important to get them into the real heart of the nexus, and this is just a suggestion. So thanks for your time, and cheerio.